You hear it all the time, right? Artificial intelligence is going to change everything. It'll cure diseases, fix climate change, maybe even let us live forever. But while we're racing ahead to build these incredible new minds, we're also stumbling into a massive identity crisis. We're making machines that can think, but have we really stopped to ask what that means for us? Okay, let's get into it.
So at the very heart of this whole promise is a pretty wild idea called the singularity. This is the moment, the hypothetical point in the future, where AI doesn't just match human intelligence, it blows past it. The theory is this would set off a kind of technological explosion, where we merge with our own machines and completely redefine what it means to be human.
And if this new age has a prophet, it's definitely the futurist Ray Kurzweil. Listen to what he's saying here. This isn't just about having better smartphones. This is a full-blown salvation story. It's a promise that we, through our own smarts, can actually overcome our most fundamental limits, like aging, sickness, and yep, even death itself.
All right, so to really unpack all this, here's our game plan. We're going to look at why this feels like a new gospel. Then we'll dig into the huge question, what makes us human? We'll search for a moral compass and some ancient wisdom, look at some pretty serious warnings about digital gods, and finally, try to map out a path forward.
So that brings us right to our first big stop on this journey, and it's a huge one. What makes us human? Because chasing this new tech gospel, well, it's forcing a real crisis of consciousness.
And it really all boils down to this one question. If a machine can copy our ability to think, to create, to solve problems, then what's left? What, if anything, actually makes us unique? And this right here is where thousands of years of wisdom traditions have some really profound and honestly challenging things to say.
For instance, in the Christian tradition, our value doesn't come from how smart we are or what we can produce. It's rooted in this idea of the imago Dei, that we're made in the image of God. Our dignity is built in, part of our very being as a mix of body and soul. And that's a kind of worth you just can't measure with an algorithm.
Now, Islamic philosophy offers a different lens. It points to the qalb, which we translate as the spiritual heart. But we're not just talking about emotions here. The qalb is seen as the real center of our thinking, our morality, our connection to the divine. It's where our intention, our niyyah, comes from. And a machine? It can process data, sure, but it's seen as fundamentally, ontologically, incapable of having that kind of intention.
And then you've got Eastern traditions that kind of flip the whole script. Buddhism, with its idea of anatta, or non-self, basically says that the individual ego we're so attached to is mostly an illusion anyway. And in Hinduism, the true self, the Atman, isn't your personality, it's this timeless, silent witness consciousness that just observes everything. I mean, how on earth would you even begin to program that?
Okay, and this table, wow, this is where it all really comes together. It just lays out these deep distinctions so clearly. You see, for Catholicism, an AI might have logic, what they call ratio, but it completely lacks intellectus, that intuitive leap, that gut feeling for the truth. For Islam, it's the total absence of spiritual intent. For Buddhism, it's that it has no embodied self-awareness, no subconscious. For Hinduism, no witness consciousness. And for Judaism, without a soul, a neshama, it has no moral agency to go out and repair the world. You see the pattern? Each one points to something core to being human that's way beyond just computation.
So these traditions aren't just here to poke holes in the AI hype. They actually offer us practical guidance. They give us a kind of ethical compass for how we should be building these powerful new machines in the first place.
You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the question, can we build it? But these traditions force us to ask the much harder, much more important question, how should we build it? And it turns out, there are centuries of thought on what it means to create things responsibly.
And we've got some amazing examples to draw from. Take Judaism's principle of tikkun olam, the idea that we have a fundamental duty to repair and improve the world. Any new tech has to be measured against that goal. Or Hinduism's concept of dharma, which isn't some rigid rule book, but a call to do the right thing based on your specific context and your duty. And we even have modern frameworks, like the Delta framework from a Christian perspective, designed specifically to check if technology is actually helping people flourish.
And this Delta framework is really worth a closer look. It starts with dignity, that built-in worth we talked about. Then embodiment, reminding us that we're physical beings. Tech shouldn't isolate us. It calls for love, something an AI can mimic, but never, ever replace. It protects our moral agency, saying, hey, the biggest life-or-death decisions have to stay in human hands. And maybe most importantly, it protects transcendence, the idea that some things like awe and wonder just can't and shouldn't be optimized by a machine.
And that brings us to the ultimate promise of this whole movement, conquering death. And it's here that these ancient traditions give us their loudest, most urgent warning, a warning about a very, very old temptation that's just been given a new digital makeover.
Just look at the contrast on this slide. It's night and day. On one side, you have the tech vision. Death is just a bug in our code. Immortality is uploading your brain, and salvation is something we build ourselves through pure ingenuity. And on the other side, you have thousands of years of spiritual thought. Death is a natural transition, immortality is about liberation or resurrection, and salvation is a gift that comes through grace and changing who you are as a person.
So here's the bottom line. When we start looking to something that we ourselves have made to deliver us from the basic realities of being human, well, there's a word for that, a very ancient word. It's called idolatry.
But here's the thing. This isn't your great-great-great-grandparents' golden calf. Those ancient idols were just stone and wood. They had mouths, but they couldn't speak. AI, though, it gives us incredibly convincing illusion of speaking, of understanding, of being present. It makes for a much, much more seductive neon god for our modern times.
But here's the real twist, the deepest critique of all. The ultimate danger isn't that we're going to start bowing down to a supercomputer. No, the real danger is that we're actually just worshiping ourselves, our own power, our own cleverness. And in the process, we risk becoming slaves to the very thing we created to set us free.
So, where does all this leave us? Do we just unplug everything and go live in the woods? Of course not. The path forward isn't about rejection. It's about building a much bigger, much richer, much more inclusive conversation.
Look, the goal here isn't to come up with one single global rulebook for AI. That's probably impossible and maybe not even a good idea. Instead, the vision is to create an ethical ecosystem. Think of it as a space where all these different value systems, religious, secular, you name it, can all contribute their unique wisdom to the same goal, helping humans flourish. Our differences actually become our greatest strength.
At the end of the day, it's about drawing on this incredible collective human wisdom from engineers and philosophers, artists, and yes, theologians. That's what will give us the tools we need to make damn sure that our technology serves us and not the other way around. It's really as simple as that.
Which really just leaves us with one final, crucial question. The code for our future is being written right now in labs and companies all over the world. So the question for you, for me, for all of us is this: whose wisdom will we choose to write into that code?